Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Siblings Den podcast, which was in collaboration with Beefy and Mando for the BeefSliders Podcast. This one is just a video version of the podcast. You're going to see a lot of just activities of Mando, Beefy, and myself playing around in the dungeons and on our island while we're talking to a special guest. So let's get to it and let us know in the comments if there's anything that you would like us to chat about, interact, or go over with in a podcast format. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to the BeefSlider Podcast. Today we have a special guest on with us. But first, let me introduce the other co-hosts. We got Wingless Dragon as usual. We got Mandoexe.
Hello.
Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself, brother?
I'm Income.
He a very special man, as everyone knows.
He's literally made of money.
No, yeah, there you go. I wish.
You know, he wipes his butt with $100 bills.
Whoa.
Nah.
That's some solid.
Maybe one day.
All right, but if you wanted to start it off, let's just get to know you more, just to start it off before we jump into what you do. What's a couple things you're into, man? What's some of your likes and some of your dislikes? I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I would say, I think I'm more introverted in terms of the gaming side of stuff. I'm more of like the management / marketing guy on OPLegends. Obviously, on a Minecraft server. I mean, honestly, man, I think my biggest hobby is working. Like, that's all I kind of do. I really love Minecraft. Love the gaming scene. Put a lot of time and effort into making sure that, building this Minecraft server, we were to create a community that, fosters a lot of great people. And that's kind of my focus, and that's been my focus. So in terms of hobbies, I mean, I just went skiing then. I really enjoyed it. So there's a hobby for you.
Okay.
Nice.
That's actually pretty dope. I personally have never gone skiing, snowboarding. I've never even seen snow a day in my life. So to me, I've always wanted to.
Yeah, that's not.
I'm in Canada. That's all I see.
So yeah, I'm from the south where it snows once a year, and when it does snow, it's a quarter inch. So I don't know those things, but no, I've seen people do it because of Snow Mountain in Atlanta, where they do fake snow every year. But I've been too scared to do it because I don't want to break my neck.
Yeah, it was not a fun experience. I was sore for a week. But it was once you were going down the hill and having a good time with it, it was so much fun. But when you fell and you hit, it was the worst feeling in the world because then you had to get back up, go down, and you can't be I'm done doing this. You have to finish all the way through. So
best experience I had with skiing is that I had while I was skiing downhill, one of my skis got hit, stuck under an ice sheet. And so I just catapulted off my skis, and then everyone was worried because I went face first into the snow. And so they're just like, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So I just clicked into my skis, and everyone started yelling at me, but I didn't hear what it was. Get to the cabin, guy looks at me, he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I'm like, what's wrong? My face was bleeding constantly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't have any of those encounters, but yeah, it's fun. Definitely would do it again.
Yeah.
I feel that. That's actually pretty dope, though. You're actually getting to go ski and all that?
Yeah, it was a cousin's trip. So, my whole family, it was me and all my cousins. I'm 22, so a lot of my cousins are the same age as me. We just all graduated out of college. You were
22, bro.
Yeah, so we all went to Deep Creek. I guess I could say that, and got this big house and went to the actual skiing, and it was 10 of us, and it was a really good time. So excited I did it.
Oh yeah. And then Wingless, you want to say something?
So let's go with maybe start with a funny question. What's your favorite car?
So I actually just I sent you guys a picture of me driving here. I just bought that truck on Tuesday.
Oh, it was a truck.
I told you.
So I'll explain this. So when I started in high school, my parents bought me a 2003 Toyota Matrix. They paid $4,000 for it, and it had maybe 135,000 miles on it. It was a really janky car. I wouldn't call it a beater, but I definitely made it a beater after all the abuse I went through, with me driving it for the past 7 years. And it was a kind of a running joke, I was keeping this car alive. Things would happen to it, and I put $3,000 into it and it was the worst car ever. So finally, emissions was coming up because I live in a state that you have to get emissions. And finally, I just said, it's probably time to get a reliable truck. So I bought a Toyota Tacoma 2021. So I'm very happy with it. Love the color. And yeah, it's definitely a step up from what I'm used to. So I guess you could say my favorite truck is a Toyota Tacoma or a car.
Nice.
So
okay.
So that's also my favorite truck as well. I've always wanted a Tacoma. but I got lucky and my aunt's car broke down and it cost $4,000 to fix, and she gave it to me as my 17th birthday present. So I got a 2013 Cadillac SUV for $1.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's
perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, $1, that'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a big car person, so I just wanted something reliable. I kind of wanted a bed like of a truck, so I'm very happy with the purchase. And again, we'll see how things go.
Yeah, that's what it really boils down to. And then it's a Toyota at the end of the day, so that should go and run forever.
Yeah, again, I'm a very cheap guy, so I'm very frugal with my money.
Okay, that's fair. That's actually pretty cool.
So no Lambos, got it.
No, well, yeah, I guess that was. I honestly, I didn't really think about the question you guys asked. Yeah, I mean, there is a running joke that I have 4 Lambos, but yeah, no, they're in my garage though. So
Yeah, they're totally in my garage.
yeah,
They're next to his bookshelf for all his knowledge.
there you go. Yeah, that's funny. Definitely not knowledgeable.
That's pretty fair, man. But that's pretty dope though that you're able to get yourself that new purchase and everything. Did it spoil yourself a little bit?
Yeah, it was good. Again, I'm not a big person that talks about money and stuff like that. Obviously, with the server and things, we're able to do some cool things. But I don't take it for granted. I think a lot of hard work went into what we do, and again, I'm just happy to be able to afford something like that. So yeah,
I feel that. Humble man.
Yeah.
To a point. And then when you come on my server and I start berating all the top donators to donate.
I think there is a difference. Okay, and especially since we're doing as a sort of like as a podcast, we need to like differentiate like income as a person and income as the character on the server. And obviously, like that's like the ongoing joke. And anyone who actually like takes that a little too seriously, okay, take a step back. Like he's a human being.
I mean all fun with it, and again, like I like messing with people because I hope they truly know that like the money is not like the joke is that like, oh, we make all this money, right? Like the server owners make all this money, but in reality, like if you look at the scope of things, we see long term with OPLegends, we always have. And, we invest a lot of money back into the server to make sure the experience is great, right? We have a really good team, and we actually pay our team members, which a lot of servers don't do. So again, I always make that joke because it's like, when somebody drops a decent amount of money, I'm always like, yeah, thanks, now I can go eat, right? Like it's just funny. So
I think it comes with
you
the
guys are getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like some person will ask me a question, I'll be like, yeah, I just work here. Like I have no idea what your question's about. Like
I think it also comes with the territory with the name like income. It's like so there's the question then. Why income? Like where did that name come from?
So I actually, I was under, it's actually a crazy story. And this kind of goes into like OPLegends as well. So I had an alias before that was like my old dog's name, right? And obviously it was my old dog, so it passed away. So I was like, I definitely want a new alias, right? I don't want, my old dog's name to be my alias. So, I was talking with Lemon at the time, this was like, I would say probably about 4 years ago. Okay. And Lemon's like, this guy is selling this OG account for, X amount of money and it's income, right? So I bought the OG account. Long story short, they gave us like the email, all this stuff. I never changed the email. So it got hacked and the person took it back after a certain amount of time. So that's why I became Income XD after the fact. So again, it was just a really cool OG name that was there at the time. I was like, that's really cool. There's really no meaning behind it. Like I'm not really all about money. So it's like, I just thought the name was very, very good. So I kind of went with it.
Okay, I feel that. That's actually a pretty cool backstory to that name. Because I did always wonder, like, how did Income come up with his name?
Yeah, it was just, at the time, like, there was a lot of things. Like, I think it was, like, King. That was an OG name that I was going to buy, so I would have been King. But, like, again, that was a little bit more expensive.
All right, new question.
I think the next question that we had ran down, let me pull that up real quick.
So you already talked about, like, how you like Minecraft in the gaming scene, but, like, what is your favorite video game?
I'm really enjoying Warzone right now.
Warzone?
I play Call of Duty Warzone a lot. I'm a gamer at heart. I've always have been. I enjoy playing games with like my friends and stuff like that. I would say I'm probably like the only person on our team, like in terms of executive team, that really plays games kind of, the way I play them. But yeah, I think Call of Duty Warzone right now is one of my favorite games.
Okay. Have you gotten Interstellar? Because I have Interstellar. Because I'm a big Call of Duty fan as well.
I have not. I don't buy anything like that. Like I literally just hop on the game and play. So.
And then so like obviously you probably like you hit on this earlier, but like what led y'all to choose Minecraft specifically?
Yeah, I mean, so I met Matt probably 5 years ago from a mutual friend. No, way longer than that. Probably like 7 years ago from a mutual friend of ours. You know, Matt, it was like kind of a match made in heaven, where it was like, you know, Matt was very good at the technical side of things. And I was very, very good with like, you know, getting players onto the server type of thing, right? And I realized that like, I understood my pitfalls with a lot of things. Like, for instance, I knew like my servers, when I would do them by myself, I would have like 400 players on, but the server would be crashing consistently, right? So when I met Matt, you know, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, you know, we both are very good at our respective things. Like, maybe we can make something happen. And that's kind of, we've always been in the Minecraft scene, you know, and I think, and we'll kind of get into it, but I'll kind of get into it as well in terms of like how OPLegends kind of started. But like what happened was that we were both in college. I think it was our freshman year, and COVID hit, right? And Matt came on and helped me with a project that I had. And, you know, we did the project, and we realized the name of the project was too long. It was like, no kid can learn how to say the word, all this kind of stuff. So we decided, you know, why don't we make the server called OPLegends, right? It's a brand new server. We won't target the competitive scene. We'll target the casual scene, and we'll kind of go from there and do it that way. So I think it was like May of 2020. Yeah, it was May of 2020. And that's when we began working on OPLegends. We created the Discord, we did all these things. And our first map was, I think, July 17th, 2020 is when we released Prisons. And again, like, we worked our butts off that map. We had like 20 to 30 players consistently on. But our goal was that we wanted to keep those 20 to 30 players onto the server as long as we possibly can, right? Because then if we release the next map, all those 20 to 30 players will log on plus some more. And that's how we kind of grew. So obviously I'll wait for some more questions. But in terms of why we chose Minecraft, we just always have been, it's been our game. But, you know, that's the game we love. I've had great experiences on this game. And again, I just wanted to provide those experiences and obviously make some money in the process.
Nice.
Okay. And then I wanted to add to that a little bit, because how you said like, oh, you and Matt, it was your guys' idea. How did John come about into the whole trio?
Yeah, so there was we understood, Matt, actually, I'm not taking any credit for this. So Matt had understood that, you know, our 1.8 prison setup was not going to be like, it wasn't going to last, right? If we kept staying on the versions of 1.8. So what happens is that when you're on a version like 1.8, you're able to hold maybe 300, 350 players, but the limitations of what you can do on the actual server are very, 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 very narrow, right? So, you know, we were wanting to incorporate some ideas that really weren't possible with the kind of what we were dealing with. So, you know, Matt, who had known John from a previous server that John had worked on, messaged John and said, hey, why don't we come up with a system that can hold a lot more players and is able to allow us to update when a new version of Minecraft comes out, right? Because servers at the time weren't even touching the newer versions of Minecraft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were staying on 1.8 because it was providing security. You didn't have to do anything. And most players preferred 1.8 just due to the combat changes. So Matt spearheaded the idea of, okay, let's get this to the newer versions and like, you know, then we have more flexibility, and it's worked out tremendously for us. You know, a lot of our competitors are still stubborn on staying on 1.8, and we're able to incorporate cosmetics. We're able to do all these different things. So kind of how John came on board was that we understood that there was a need that needed to be filled, and John was the only guy we felt like could do it. So that's why we brought him on board, and, you know, it's been great ever since.
Yeah, that's one thing I have noticed about OPLegends in my experience of Minecraft servers is y'all have one of like the best for chat cosmetics, the best like selection, the best variety.
Yeah, and that was all Matt and John's vision and plan. Like, again, I give Matt all the credit in the world in terms of really coming up with the idea of like his vision. I think John is more of the cosmetic guy. Like he had, you know, done that on previous things, but Matt was really the one that put all of this together to make, like, his vision for what the server should have been was all him. Again, I'm like the business savvy oriented kind of, you know, manager and marketing guy. So here I'm thinking, you know, man, we're putting all our eggs in a basket for this 1.8 team game. And again, like it was some growing pains. I don't think you guys were here, but we had like a modern prison to where we would have our 1.8 prison server, and then we had like a 1.8 team prison server. And finally, I remember going to Matt and John being like, this is not working. Like, we need to have 1.8 support on our actual, on this 1.18 prison server, because if people see how good the experience is on 1.18 compared to 1.8, people will switch. And that's exactly what happened. So
yeah, because I feel like you guys were one of like the first servers, at least that I've noticed, that moved away from 1.8, that wasn't trying to keep themselves there.
Yeah, you're good, guys.
A lot of what I was seeing is that a lot of people were just copying each other, and not a lot of people were innovating. And of course, everyone who was copying were still on 1.8, right?
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where I think, in the server scene, it's a very profit-oriented kind of game, so to say, in terms of Minecraft servers, right? And it makes sense. Like, we do the things we do not because we want to. In some cases, it's because we have to. It's sink or swim, right? And I think what we're really seeing, and what a big push we are doing, is that we understand that our cosmetic system gives us an advantage to really perfect our gameplay over adding pay to win items and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying our server is quote unquote pay to win. I think there's a lot of examples of people not pay to winning and really doing well, Eden being an example of that. But I think that, if our shift and our focus is to kind of move away from players being able to buy items within game that affects their gameplay and stuff like that, and really have cosmetics be the forefront of that.
I think the argument, I remember having I think a personal discussion with you about this, but I think there's a difference between like something that's pay to win, but something that is also free to play friendly. So like, I think if it's within the realm where like, there's some elements that is obviously easier for people that to pay into it, and it'll be fun for people. But so long as the free-to-play players are having fun as well and are filling out the environment, if you can balance those two really well, that's, I think, what makes a really good server.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the balance that we have to deal with every day. Like, our goal is, and I mean this, is to provide a great experience. Like, it really is. And I think, what Matt and John and I talk about all the time is like how, like, quality over quantity. Right. And sometimes, with release schedules and stuff like that, like there's times to make money and there's times to not make money. And again, I think that the biggest thing is that we try not to influence a lot of our decisions, like in fact of trying to hearken the quality of the server. Does that make sense? Like, our decisions, if it means the quality of the server deteriorates, we're not going to do it, even though it could make us exponentially a lot more money or do something of that sort. Like, for instance, you don't see a lot of sales on OPLegends, right? You don't. Because we believe that we don't want people having fear of missing out or anything of that sort. We want people to believe that this is the price of the item, and that's what it is, right? Yeah. So that's why we kind of do that in that way.
You definitely didn't see day one and 2 of Skyblock. There's a lot of ongoing purchases, but I know what you mean. Like, it wasn't like directly, it wasn't like just lump sum in one spot and then that's it for the rest of the season. No more very little purchases afterwards. It's more like an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot of things that we look at all the time. And again, I think I would say this, the way that the team is moving and the plans we have, not only just for the company, but for OPLegends, I'm very excited for what's to come. I think that we have I think our team is very solid in that case. Like, I think our team is one of the best in the game by far.
So OPL right now has 3 modes. You had Skyblock first, you had Prisons, you deactivated Skyblock, you brought in Gens, and then you brought back Skyblock. So like what were so Prisons, obviously, from what you said earlier, that was where you started. What got you thinking of like trying to get these established? What made you like pull some back? Like how like what could you do, like, in a general sense, like how did that all come about and like the process? Because you mentioned a lot about how like you want to focus on quality, but like what made you go, this won't work for Prisons, let's make another game mode?
So I think, and I'll just kind of start off, like we've always been a prison server, right? I think that's our number one game mode. I think that we've really hit the nail on the head with our Prisons. I mean, you can even see it now with Skyblock releasing, and like Prisons is doing better than Skyblock, right? Even 4 to 5 weeks into the map. I think that's a true testament to like how we've kind of built up our prison player base. But a lot of the direction in terms of where we see the server, like there's going to be a lot of new things that are going to be coming out. And I think that if you look at the direction of how we kind of went about gens, was we saw an opportunity. There was like this server that was doing really, really well within the community. And we understood that gens looked like a lot of fun, right? And, you know, we there was no risk involved with us doing something like that. You know, we're like, let's just try Gen, see how it works. And it totally exploded, right? I mean, I think you guys were there for that, right? When Gen's just absolutely just did bananas. 1,500 players a day.
Yeah,
like, it was crazy.
Day one was like
Yeah,
15,
That was
16.
wild.
So
Yeah.
like, and you know, what that has taught us is that, and if you look at gens now, like it's not the same, right? And I think that has a lot to do with, obviously it was a new game mode, but it was a fun game mode, right? And as people play it more and more and more, you know, gens, you can only get so much out of it. Now, obviously we have plans for what we want to do with gens, and those will be kind of released very shortly. But I think a lot of the focus now is on Prison and Skyblock. And the only reason why I say that is because Prisons is going to be more of our competitive community. That's what we want. We want them playing. We want, if you like Prisons, you shouldn't go play Skyblock. We don't want that. What we want is we want two different communities. Hence why we've been still putting out updates on Prisons while Skyblock is released, right? Or why Skyblock, when Skyblock came out way before Prisons, Skyblock is still getting updates and so is Prisons. So it's to keep those player bases separate from each other. Like that's the goal. So again, I'm very confident that Skyblock can get to a place where it could be like more of a casual game mode, right? It might not be resetting as much and stuff like that. Obviously, with the first map, we kind of understood that, you know, we can't have this map stretch, you know, 15 to 20 weeks like we wanted. But again, it's all a learning experience. And I think that, you know, with Skyblock, we're going to be able to get more and more and more data and information to kind of make those adjustments when needed.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've seen a lot of other servers make the mistake, is that they feel like they have to do one thing and then that's all they have for that whole season, and then they're not updating or they're not doing anything to kind of invigorate stuff. And I think that's one of the things that work really well with OPLegends for all three modes, is at least like you are trying, like you have a method of like at least adding new things as the season goes on, so that while it might be still similar and you might be generally doing a bit of the same thing, there's at least a little bit more like, oh, we've increased a little bit of the pass. Oh, we've increased a little bit of the mode. Oh, we've now I provided more access. Oh, there's more quests. Like all these little things, while they seem not huge, help a lot with the longevity of something. So I think like that's
Especially like skills were a big thing for prisons and gens.
Yeah.
To help, like, because they give you something to do other than just like, you know, prisons spin in circles, break blocks, or gens just A-okay at your island.
Well, that's been the whole focus of like the server, is like, how do we like launch? Because people always made the joke, like, you know, oh, all you do is release a new skill, a new pass thing, and then they call it that. You don't do any real content updates. But I think that's a slippery slope, because we, at a certain point, like I remember we were doing like massive updates every week. And what we started to realize was that it was becoming confusing for new players when they joined, right? When you have 15 million features that all do kind of the same thing, but you're just adding features just to add them. You know,
but I loved the fishing and the exploding fireworks. That is still by far one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, you know, we'll probably hit on some, but we won't hit on some, right?
Yeah.
And again, like when you look at things like universes, right? We still believe there's a chance like universes is something that's good, right? We don't see that as a bad thing. It's just how do we implement it in a way that that makes it fun? And I think that, you know, we're not afraid to try new things and innovate. It's just, if it's hurting the bottom line and players aren't enjoying it, that's where we kind of have a problem. And a lot of people come at me all the time and they're like, well, like, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? I'm like, well, if we do this and we make this change, you know, you might like that, but what about the other people who might not like that? So it's very hard to gauge interest and opinions in trying to navigate through features.
That's one thing that like most average players, they don't understand. It's just like, oh, I want this thing done, but they're doing it for the entire community, not just one player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, and like, obviously if majority rules sometimes, but like, for instance, you know, we've had numerous people say, oh, maybe you should have a credit enchant in prisons. It's like,
No.
oh yeah, that would be
Oh.
nice, like for some people,
Oh,
but like it's not good. Like it wouldn't be good for us. And like we always laugh at it, and you know, obviously we take it with a grain of salt, but like at the same time, it's like, you know, we want to listen to you guys. Like we want to listen to the players. We want to do what we can to make sure that we're doing our best to, like, you know, keep the community going and filling the needs that need to be there. But there's also a give and take, because at the end of the day, we have to run a business. We have to make sure that we're still operating. You know, people rely on us for, you know, payments every month and these kind of things. So trying to balance all of that at once, that's why you don't really see a lot of servers doing as well as us.
That's true. A lot of servers. And another thing, I feel like you guys are probably one of the only servers I've ever touched on Minecraft, and I've been playing since 2013. You guys have the most interaction with the community. You guys are constantly trying to see, what do we like, what do we not like. Like, just to say 2 examples, Fade Cloud and Hypixel, they started that very early on, and they lost track of that. You guys have kept that going since day one, which is why I give so much respect to you guys, because that is a hard thing to do, to keep up with the community. Because you guys could have one idea and the community wants something completely different. Now you guys are back to square one.
Yeah. Again, I think, you know, like we don't do this for the money, right? A lot of server owners will come on, do the reset, log off. Like, you know, we genuinely enjoy interacting with our community. We think we've built something that, you know, is amazing. You know, I tell people all the time, like, you know, if the server dies tomorrow, like, I'm still going to do my best to keep it alive, because it's been one of the greatest things I've been able to do. And again, I think a lot of things that, you know, you look at and you see in the server scene, I think there's a lot of server owners that do care. It's just this job and the way you kind of go about it, like, you know, too much interaction with your community is not good, right? Because then they start thinking that they should have a say in what you should do. But, you know, there's that fine balance between, you know, really talking with your community and actually taking feedback in, and then being friends with your community. Like, and again, I think we do a great job of, you know, a fine line of that, you know. And again, I love talking to people. Like, if somebody, the biggest thing that I tell Matt, John, everything is, like, if somebody wants to hop on a call with us and go over what we need to do better, like, we need to listen to that. We need to obviously do that and, you know, listen to them. We might not agree with them, but it's good to hear that feedback so we can do the best, you know, possible strategy to make sure that everything's good.
I think, yeah, 2 things I think to add with that. I think that's what's important, is that at the end of the day, you have to treat this as if, like, this is a title like Mass Effect, right? Like, if all of the community asked for everything for Mass Effect, it wouldn't have the story that it has. It wouldn't have the project. Now, do I feel like OPL has a whole story plot? No. But every game has its own, like, the way that the thing should flow properly, that has a good balance, that works well. And yeah, I think it makes sense that you guys make a little bit of money because, well, the servers need to be paid, the access needs to be paid. Like, it comes out of somewhere, but it has to have a bit of that balance as well. But I think so long as the time is given on, like, how do we make sure that all this is balanced, so that it is fun, we can introduce new things. And sometimes people want something, but they might not know what would surprise them. Gens, I think, succeeded very well because it was a surprise for a lot of people that didn't know where Gens came from. And that's why those numbers came in. And that was a really smart surprise. So
well, that's something that, and again, you bring up the surprise factor of it. Like, we evaluate everything. And I think, like, you know, it's that fine line between, like, I think with Gens, we had this attitude of, like, really setting expectations to the floor and exceeding them, like, so high, right? And that's something that we really want to do. You know, a lot of the biggest complaints I had as an owner, and this was probably a couple months ago, was that, like, I would say, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and, like, it would never come out. And that wasn't because I was, like, lying or anything like that. It was just because, you know, I'm here trying to make decisions and being like, yeah, trying to make people happy. And then, you know, as I thought about those decisions more and more and more, then I realized, maybe that's not a good idea, right? But at the same time, like, you know, you learn from that. And again, I think I've done a great job of not jumping the gun as much as I used to. So, like, just to kind of answer that for you.
Yeah. So everyone who's listening to this, don't trust income, but he means well.
Yeah, I mean, again, there you go. I mean, you can look at it that way. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But, you know, that makes sense. And things can change, right? So, like, maybe the decision was to do it and then, it doesn't work. We tried. Just because it wasn't released doesn't mean it wasn't attempted. So that's the other way I have to think about it.
Matt and John are not afraid to give their opinions on things. So like if they don't like it, like, you know what I mean, they're gonna let me know about it, and I appreciate that. You know,
John,
sometimes I'm very energetic with things. Like if I have my mindset on something, I'm like, no, we need, like, we're gonna die, like we need to do that. And like, you know, they're able to be like, no, you know, what about this? What about that? And like find alternatives. And again, I think, you know, for the better half of it, I think a lot of how I've kind of dealt with, you know, talking with the community is being like literally like ask Matt, like, because again, he's in charge of all of that kind of stuff. And again, I always tell people in terms of, you know, when we do things and how we do them, like, you know, the reason why we're so successful is because in our respected kind of things that we do, we are literally the best at it. And I think that that's what's kind of puts us all apart in terms of when you look at the whole server scene and how we kind of been able to operate for so long, you know, in this kind of climate. Because Minecraft right now, it's not like 2015. It's not as popping as it was. You know, getting players onto a server is probably the hardest it's ever been right now.
Yeah, because people find that one server they like and they want to play on, and they will die on a hill for that server. It is hard to get them to try something new.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the talent around the servers, right?
Agreed.
So I think, you know, there's a big thing, like right now, if you look at the Skyblock and prisons and all that kind of stuff community, is like a lot of the mainstream Minecraft creators don't want to touch these type of games, right? And if they do touch these kind of games, like they're implicit in, you know, oh, it's a pay to win server or anything of that sort. So it's very hard for us, and they cost a lot of money because of the demand. So for someone like us, you know, we have a really good set of creators that we really trust. And again, I think that they do a fantastic job. But like, if I were to start a server today and we didn't have the creators we have, where would you get these, you know, certain creators? You know what I mean? Because it's just, there's such a low supply and very high demand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess moving on to like the next question we had is, you said you're trying stuff new, and I would like to hit back onto that with a certain tweet you tweeted a couple months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So you tweeted out, our company is expanding and we are looking for talented, experienced Roblox developers and game designers. If you have any experience in Roblox, make sure to message us through DMs. We would love to chat. Any updates on the Roblox stuff?
Yeah, so we have goals set for 2024 for like the company as a whole. And one of our goals is to release at least one Roblox game and one Fortnite game. So those are two goals that I hope to fulfill. In terms of an update on that, I think right now we're knee deep with trying to get things worked out for OPLegends for the next couple of months. Once those things are kind of worked out and we have a clear plan of action, I think, you know, I'm going to spend probably more time working on that and kind of getting things started on that front. But yeah, I mean, again, we see an opportunity to where, you know, we have such a great team. And I mean this, like, we have such a great team that we can easily do some damage in other games. And that's what I hope to do.
Not to push too much, but do you have an idea or like a general outline of what you're looking for in Roblox and in Fortnite, or just right now it's just like
that's kind of the thing that's the kind of thing that's holding up. Like I need to really sit down and do my own research to really find and play the game myself. Again, I played a little bit of Roblox. I think like probably a couple weeks ago, and again, it's just trying to find a time to get that rolling and working on that. But again, it's a process, right? Like, and the thing that, you know, we're very conscious of is like, we're not just going to go into Roblox and like say, oh yeah, we're just into Roblox to be in Roblox. Like, we genuinely want to learn about the ecosystem and kind of build within it and actually be a player within Roblox. It's just, how do we find the niche and how do we kind of build out and make a really good game as we have on Minecraft.
Yeah, and people will have to understand as well that like it's a bit of a different process, because like while on Minecraft you can have the server and you can like run it yourself, there's a submission process for stuff like Roblox and Fortnite, and it has to go through an approval process, and so there is a lot. It's a lot more different. Sorry, coming from experience on video games industry, but yeah, so it's a lot to like. If you were able to get through it, it's a great opportunity. But yeah, people will have to like be aware that like they're going to be working on this for a little bit. So just from that alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, I'm happy with everything. I think that, you know, we're in a position to where we're able to do those different things.
Yeah.
You know, we've set ourselves up so nice, and you know, that's just because all of Matt, myself, John, we all work jobs outside of that. So we're not really relying on this as like our first means of income. So we're able to stack a lot of money up and be able to invest in things like that. And again, I'm very excited for that. I think that's the best move for us as a company to really bring in more cash flow for us to really expand, what we want to do. Because at a certain point, and this is just the bottom line, is that like, OPLegends where it stands right now is pretty self-sufficient. You know what I mean? And I think it's time to, to kind of move forward with other things while still keeping OPLegends in mind and doing what we can. Because a lot of the team right now, is really taking care of OPLegends. Like you see all the updates, like it's not us posting. Like they're doing fantastic work. Like I honestly, I'm going to give a big shout out, Maeve, Levity, Opane, Panda, Luna, Proximity. Yeah. Like, these, people that work for us, like they genuinely care and love about what we're building. And, it's great. Another person, Dio Time. So I'm very excited for the future. And if we can continue to keep doing the things we're doing, I'm telling you, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
100%. You guys, I've never seen a server so, I guess you could say in a broad term, a hive mind with one another on actually improving the server. Yeah, there is a couple outliers that do questionable things, but at the most part, you guys are a locked in hive mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's just me speaking the truth, because you guys have shown that you guys truly do care for Minecraft, and you guys want to see a game that's going to keep going, and you guys care for your community. So kind of like me wondering, right now you guys have 3 servers running up. You have Prisons, Gens, Skyblock. Have you guys ever considered adding a 4th one, or just right now you guys want to keep it locked at those 3?
You'll have to see. Yeah, we are very, with the success of how Gens did with being experimental, that's not stopping. So that's all I'm going to say.
And I got to ask one more thing, bro.
Whoa. Income just confirmed that he's okay with experimenting. I'm just saying it's on quote now.
Listen, I'm kidding. Trust me. And some of those experiments are going to be very good, and some of them are going to be very bad. that's how it goes.
Well, leading off of that a little bit, have you guys ever considered going like the modded server route, Pixelmon, Attack of the B Team, RL Craft? Have you guys ever considered trying something like that?
So, I've been like pounding the table to get into Pixelmon.
Yes, I love you for that.
Now, the other 2 owners believe that, it'd be copyright infringement with Nintendo. And, I think they have some, I would say points, and, they're not wrong. It's just the fact of the matter of, how can we get into those markets and really succeed? It's not something we really thought about. We're very content with what we kind of currently have. I think if you were really looking for expansion in terms of Minecraft, it would probably be opening up more servers, like with the creators, right? Like bigger creators, and being like doing that type of route. So I wouldn't say that we're looking into the modded thing. I think we are looking into like, partnering up with a big creator and then like using some of what we learned on OPLegends and putting it into a server for them. And then, they do all the advertising. We just run it. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that's fair. And I think that's a smart way of by diversifying your time and like what might be good, because then like if someone else has an idea and they can put forward the time and it's just a matter of like being included into that, well, you're already set up for that. So it's like, sure, link here. It's like, so long as the other stuff is sorted out. So like that's actually a very smart move overall.
Yeah.
That will also like indirectly help OPL, because it'll be like, oh, this Minecraft server is partnered with this owner, and what else does he run,
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm gonna be honest with you, if we were to do something like that, I think we would probably not want our OPLegends community really knowing about it. You know what I mean? It'd kind of be like under wraps type of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think like we want to keep that separate, but I think it's, we understand that if we were to do something like that, like eventually they would find out. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, our players would definitely know about it. But at the same time, like, we're not really worried about that. Unless we're slacking with OPLegends, I don't see a problem with it. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think everybody in our team has this, like-minded kind of perspective that like we love what we do, right? Like it doesn't matter the money or anything of that sort. Like this server has provided us with a lot of fun experiences, met a lot of great people, and we just want to keep that moving.
Awesome.
That's actually a really well put way to answer that.
Thank you very much. I'm PR trained. It's like, no, I'm just
Is it a PR train?
All
Matt
right.
and John had a little 2-hour lesson of income before this.
yeah. No, they don't even know I'm doing this. So that when this comes out, now I'm gonna be like, what? Why are you doing that? Like, oh my god, you answered that so well.
Oh shit! I messaged John and I got left on red, and I messaged Matt and I got left on red as well. And I was like, okay, guys,
Yeah, you already know who's the best exec right here, buddy.
that's why you make the big bucks. That's why you're
That's
income.
why. That's why your income. Okay. This has been something that's been funny ever since we've been added. I've had reached out constantly about this. Who came up with the naming scheme, and what is the difference between creator, partner, and media owner? And the reason I ask is because just as like an example for me, I've had among kids, but other people as well, straight up asking "Oh, you're the owner?" I'm like, no. What? No, content creator. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, in the same aspect, I've had people demand I give them stuff because I own the server.
Yeah,
And I have the
exactly.
power to do it.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think the way our structuring with that is that, a content creator is somebody who, has a community that comes on the server and records for free and is just enjoying the server for what it is, right? And they want to build their communities around what we have to offer. I think a partner is more of a paid kind of person who already had a pre-existing community and a very large one at that. And we pay to have them come on and actually record to bring more players to the server. And then I think a media owner is somebody who we feel has had, really dramatic effect on the server. When you look at Royal and you look at, Senior Giraffe, Royal has done so much for us and really helping us kind of solidify us as a really good alternative to a lot of these prison and skybox servers. And I think that, what we've been able to do with Royal and Rise to the Top and stuff like that is a true testament to kind of content he makes. But at the same time, if you look at somebody like Senior, we, for a very long time, we were lacking a sense of community. It was something that I always kind of harkened on. And the first 2 years of OPLegends, I was telling all of our staff, if we had a release, who could we rely on to always come out and support us, right? And it felt like there was always different players coming through. And I feel like with Senior, he really helped us kind of establish that community and really helped us, with the streams and stuff like that, kind of build a relationship with our players in a way that we really didn't do before. So again, those are kind of how I see it. Is that structure going to change? I'm more than willing to have that conversation. It's just right now, we're so focused on, trying to make the best server possible. And I don't think that the content creation and the roles are the biggest problem that we're dealing with at the moment. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. It was just funny the people that are listed as creators are constantly just the occasional harassment with oh yeah, you could totally give me this, and it's no, that's not how this works.
100%.
But I like the clarification, because that was the other thing where I think a lot of people had a misunderstanding or just not sure what the difference were between the three categories. They just saw a bunch of the names at the top and they're like,
yeah, I mean, again, it's also, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's also one of those things where we value and we try to value everybody the same, right? And obviously Royal, because he's bringing a lot of players, if he were to do something, it'd be very hard for us to be no, you're out of here, right? Again, but at the same time, we trust Royal with that responsibility of being a media owner, right? We know he's not going to go and download hacks and cheat and any of that stuff. So it's we're very confident with giving him that, and same with Senior. So I want to make it very clear as well, is just because there's certain roles doesn't mean the importance of those people. I always say to people all the time, it's you guys, especially everybody in this call, you guys really help us, show a new base of what the server actually is, and you come at things with a different angle that, let's say, Royal doesn't come at it with. So it's very different, and those niches are very, very good with building the server and the community.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. You're basically kind of saying that you're gonna obviously favor a couple because they've done the most, but you kind of, in a sense, you see all the content creators as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say favor. I just think that everybody has their importance in other ways, right?
Everyone brings something to the table.
Exactly. That's exactly the way that I'm trying to like put it is like, you guys are keeping our existing community very happy, right? You're doing giveaways, you're interacting with them, you're making sure that they're staying on the server, having a good time, while Royal is then bringing these people to the server. And I'm not saying you guys aren't bringing people to the server. I'm just saying like that's how I kind of understand it in that sense.
Feel that. And then Mando, you were trying to say something a little bit ago?
I was like, getting that on income, saying that we don't get paid, about creators don't get paid. I've had multiple people think I get paid credits for streaming on the server.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
nah,
same.
bro. I'm doing this out of the kindness from my heart because, one, I like playing Minecraft. Two, I really enjoy playing this server. If I didn't enjoy playing this server, I wouldn't stream it. Like upwards one time. Back when I first started playing Prisons, like 5 times a day for 6 hours plus a day.
Yeah. No, again, and we appreciate. I want to make that very clear. Like, we appreciate that. Like, I truly mean it. And again, it's one of those things where I get the sacrifices. I get a lot of what people do. And again, like, when you enjoy something and you're having a great time, and that's the best feeling to hear that, because we've spent so much time and effort. And again, I can go over the sacrifices me and Matt had to make this happen. But again, it's been a very cool experience, and I'm glad to hear that. So.
Woo. Segueing on to like another little question, I guess is more me wondering, like, say how you guys said you guys want to focus Prison for the comp, Jen for like the more casual player. Where does Skyblock stand in all of that? Because I feel like all three of us have our personal opinions on what the current state of the Skyblock is. What is like your guys' game plan with Skyblock?
I think right now we're learning, right? When we were releasing Skyblock, a lot of people had told us like Skyblock's kind of on its way out. It's not doing the same, all these kind of things. And in terms of like where Jen's is at in terms of being quote unquote casual, I think that's how we kind of see with what we see with Skyblock. I think Skyblock is going to be that game mode that we hope can average 200 to 250 players well into week 8, right? And that's gonna be our goal. And the biggest thing is trying to make sure that we're able to keep players interested in what we're putting out. So that means not making gameplay super fast and, having quests that kind of be drawn out and make it kind of, I would say drooling, but you get what I'm saying, like where it's actually fun and enjoyable. I think making the dungeons the center focus of like the economy and stuff like that isn't the best way of doing that. But I also think we really need to work on making sure that there's ways for people to be creative, right? Like we need to incentivize people building on their islands and making very cool islands. We need to incentivize all these different things because that's going to keep players on for an extended period of time. So that's something that we're working on. And again, I think that Skyblock is going to be like that casual play. And I also want to really lean into PvP. I see there's a massive opportunity there for us to really lean into that and have that kind of play. But again, there's a lot of things that we can do, and we're kind of working through it as a team.
It's funny that you say dungeons is not the thing that's working on Skyblock, because I think I speak for myself, but I think Mando mentioned and agreed before too. The dungeons right now is what's like the best aspect of this Skyblock, because I found using the previous version that you guys had, which was the dimensions, there wasn't anything wrong with that either, but the aspect of how dungeons work, how it's randomized, how you can get resources and stuff for it, and then those stuff that you get from it is what slowly lets you build what you want on the island, I think is what's been like really fun with it. And is something that's probably, in my opinion, the area that might be not seen as clearly. Because we've had, like, I think one of the things, if you see a lot of our streams, we've been like going into dungeons. People have asked about the dungeons. They're like, hey, that looks like fun. I might want to join. Just our last stream, there's someone that I haven't spoken to in a while that joined the chat. And then she immediately like, guess I'm joining I'm joining OPL for Skyblock now because of just that aspect of it. So it's interesting that this goes to back to a bit of what we were discussing as well, is that like everyone seems to have a different aspect of what works, what doesn't work. So it's interesting to finding that balance, and not an easy task. I think you guys have at all.
Yeah, I mean, going to the dungeons thing, dungeons are not going anywhere. Like that's not. I know in no shape. I think dungeons is a really good feature. I just think that there needs to be more things for players to do outside of dungeons.
That
right?
I agree.
that's something that I feel is where we're lacking. And I think that, I think that we have a few plans on how we can make that happen. But again, I think, like what you're saying is that Dungeons is great. We need to hone in on that. We can even make them better in some cases. But again, there needs to be other things for players to do to make them continue to keep coming back on the server, playing it and having a good time. And that's something that, we're going to keep working on. And I'm very, very, very excited for that. Like, I want to make it very clear. Like, I think Skyblock is going to be one of our premier game modes. I think if we keep doing what we're doing, it's just, I think what we're starting to slowly realize is that the competitive Skyblock kind of community is not as big as we once thought, right? So shifting away from that and really making sure that, we have a casual kind of player base that comes on, even if it's, 40, 50, even 60 people that really, really love Skyblock. We're willing to keep it open and keep providing updates for it because we know those 30 to 40 people are going to enjoy playing on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like just my 2 cents about it, I have played a variety of different games in my life, like a large variety. And one of my favorite types of games have always been like MMORPGs and dungeon crawlers. And I love the gear grinding. I love that part about the dungeons on Skyblock and how it works. But the main thing is like with y'all keeping this in more of a casual like game mode, there's always gonna be a cap out. And that's like it's just finding a way to not cap out on it.
So fast. Yeah, and that's the thing is we're trying to see, how can we do that? Because another thing is too is like, we could just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, but at a certain point it's diminishing returns, right?
Yep,
like
I agree.
We have to pay people to add those things and do those things. So if we're not making, and this is a struggle that a lot of servers face, is like this is why you see so many resets now. Like back in the day, resets were like every 6 months on some servers, right? That was just the bottom line.
Yep.
But then what was happening was that these servers were realizing that like we can make more money if we do 5 weeks and then reset, right? And even I remember even some servers like Vanity, like they were releasing like every 2 weeks, right? And like we don't want to get in that. Like our goal is longevity. We want these maps to last long. And again, even like this past weekend, I was going to announce that we were going to reset prisons for the 13th. I got on the server and I asked people. I said, do you want prisons to reset this? And literally 75% of the people said no. Like we don't want prisons to reset. We're having a good time now, and we didn't reset it. So again, like we like that. We want that to happen. It's just we make less money when that happens, and it's trying to figure out how we can kind of keep money coming in while keeping the servers up. If that means we have to kind of cut a lot of expenses to keep the servers running so more and more people are playing, that's fine. But again, our goal is not at this point, not chasing record player counts. It's trying to make the people who play our server happy and make sure that they're having a good time. Because then other people will kind of follow suit and have that same experience as well.
So I have like a question, I guess. It's something that I've noticed from other servers doing as of recently that it's been very successful. So I was wondering if you guys ever had the idea of doing it. An SMP server, like a public one, and then getting all of the partners, media, and content creators onto a separate private one where that then advertises the public one and also brings more player base to the other players and the server. Have you guys ever considered any ideas like that?
So we actually did that at one point, or that was a plan that we had, to where we were going to partner with a whole bunch of smaller creators that were in the Lifesteal SMP and SMP. Because I don't know if you guys remember this, we actually had an SMP, and what we kind of realized with SMP is that it's a really low ROI.
Yeah. And
we can accomplish the same exact thing that we want to accomplish with SMP on our Skyblock server. So that's kind of why we got rid of it. And the only reason why I say that is because if players want to go play SMP, like they can go, get a multiplayer server and do that themselves. We want to offer a different experience from that. I'm not against that. It's just we have a lot to manage because every single new game mode we run, it's time out of where we could be putting focus on. So I'd rather be putting focus on, more of the higher revenue generating games, as well as, the things that are going to give us the most amount of success.
Okay, that actually is a very valid answer.
And it takes another server, and it takes another.
That's what I'm saying. And then you got to have somebody. Then there's updates got to come out on it. Then you got to get advertisement for it. And then another thing with SMP is that if it's a low returning game mode, then how do you pay the person to record on it, right? Like, how do you get people onto the server and have them record?
The main thing about SMP is it's survival, so buying stuff isn't as incentive because you're.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like with Skyblock, we basically make the server to where if you buy this, you're at such a big advantage in terms of other players that in some cases, if you were to grind for it, you have to put time in. So, we're able to dictate that. With SMP, it's like, oh, you want to get diamond armor? That's fine. And then if we add like a custom armor that you can only get in like the loot box, and that's like super pay to win, right? So it's like, why even play?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fair. I feel like I feel like all the content creators on the server at the moment, they've turned into cliques where they're very in their own clique. They won't, like, you won't see, I guess you could say, us three. You will never really see us in a call or interacting with like Countdown Royal and PC Gamer. Like, I feel like
I've interacted with Countdown before multiple times.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah.
I feel like mine and him are usually just like
played Prisons with him.
Oh, you did. You did, huh? I forgot about that.
I think I know where, but I get what Beefy's saying. Is like,
there's a lot of division between the community.
Yeah.
I guess. And there's like, there's these people that watch these people, and they only watch these two people, and they only play this game mode. And like whenever the other game mode out, they just skip it altogether and go to the game mode they're used to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of human nature at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we can do steps to kind of mitigate that, but at a certain point, like, I think another thing we can do, like, and if that's the case, like maybe we use that to our advantage, have a versus series, right?
I was about to just say, like that sounds like more of an idea.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm more than willing to have that. I actually was, the big thing I wanted to do this map was have a versus series. So I think it's something that we can obviously have and do. And again, I think it would be great. I think it'd be great for both parties. But again, like, the last thing I want is I want everybody to feel inclusive and have a great time on the server. So obviously I hope there's no disrespect between the two parties, but again, I think people just gravitate towards people that are like them. Right. And I think that's just kind of the way it is.
I think that's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But definitely, if there's a versus series, they're going down.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I didn't even think about that. I think it's a really good idea.
We 3 teams. Each team grabs an exec.
All right, we get income.
Yeah, well.
It's like I think we're gonna lose because while Income has the money, Matt and John have the coding. So
they know the back rooms. They know how to get into them.
Yeah, there you go. They know the back rooms.
They're gonna have to ban an EZ for fucking exploiting.
Yep.
That would be fun though.
I think we have one more question to ask.
Is it my question?
Yeah, it's your question.
Yeah.
So, Income. I've asked this multiple times, and I'm never going to stop asking this. You probably already know what it is. But when am I getting Solar Rift CC?
Yeah, I can't. I don't really.
Worth a shot.
I don't even know what that is. Like, the chat color. I've started the chat color, but I don't even know the color of it. Like,
So, no. There's not a Solar Rift CC yet. There was a Solar Rift set. I slowly grinded and bought the nickname, the symbol style, the rank style, and the title paint. And there was never a chat color.
And John ignores him every time he asks John.
I ask John about once a month whenever he gets on and I see him, and he just doesn't reply. And I have asked Matt, and he said that I would have to wait until next year for the custom CC, and then I would have to like remake it into as close as I can to get the Solar Rift CC, but it won't be the same.
Yeah. Again, I don't speak to that. All I could say is that I can try to put into word.
Yeah.
Where did the Lambo meme start, bro?
Me. I just like, for instance, our summer, and I'd be transparent. We made the most amount of money I think we've ever made, like ever. It was a very good summer for us, and what we realized was a lot of like players who were top donors were spending a lot of money. It wasn't like there was new players coming on. It's just people who played so were spending more money. So I was like joking around, like for instance, Sid is right, like.
Sidis, Scooby.
Yeah, every time I see Sidis, I'm like, you're on the naughty list because you haven't spent money in a while. So like, I'm not talking to you, like stuff like that, and like, they obviously know it's a joke, and we go back and forth, but like that's the kind of humor, and in terms of when people would donate, like everybody would be like, oh, Income's gonna have a good steak tonight, and I'd be like, nah, I gotta pay for gas for my Lambo. Like, sorry, like that it kind of just stemmed from that, but it's been funny, and I'm glad to do it with the community. Like they obviously know that I've sent pictures of my car before, and people have been like, "Yeah, that's sad." Like, I feel bad for you, but
have you ever
this is the Lambo quote, air quotes.
Have you ever considered doubling down on the joke at least once and going on Turo and renting a Lamborghini just for shits and giggles.
I can't imagine how much money that would cost me to do that for the
I've
day.
looked it up. It's $90 a day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I would definitely do that.
Well, then I gotta play the memes.
For $90, yeah.
Yeah, on Turo you can get I think it's like a '08 Gallardo for $90 a day.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, is that where you live? Because isn't it like based off the area you're in?
It's based off the actual owner of the vehicle. They could price it at whatever they like.
Oh, okay. I see.
And I'm in Arizona, where we have like the snobbiest rich people.
So what
Yeah,
you're
I'm in
saying is
Maryland.
they needed a Starbucks coffee. Is this what I'm getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Maryland, so I'm there is some
Just
wealthy people, but I don't really see a lot of Lambos around here.
buy some movie prop money. Rent out a Lambo for a day and make a vlog. Post it on.
There you go.
Just get
That'd
the
be
like money
hilarious,
gun or whatever.
Dude, I'm just gonna rent one and be like, when income lets you borrow the Lambo,
Yeah, there you go.
That's funny. Yeah, that's actually funny.
That would
because it's
be.
gonna play off the joke we were making in the chat where you're gonna let me borrow the Lambo for the
Yeah.
for you people to buy Legend.
Yeah. Hey, BB, thanks for buying Legend. Here's your Lambo. Some shit like that.
Oh, bro, that'd be hilarious, actually. Now, y'all making me want to go rent a Lambo now for the joke.
Yeah, income. If you want anyone who's easily influenced on buying stuff, just keep pushing Beefy.
Yeah.
Hey,
I almost bought Legend just for the shits and giggles of that joke. I had to
Shut up,
have
bro.
Wingless. I had to have. Hey, blame
Shut up.
Wingless, bro. He talked me out of it.
wait,
I
we're
tried
gonna have to
talking,
have a talk.
I tried talking him
We're
into
talking.
it. I was encouraging it.
He was.
Like, Beefy, you need this.
You're taking food out of my kid's mouth. What the hell's wrong with you, Wingless?
I need Beefy. I need Beefy to have food in his mouth too, and not just spend money willy nilly.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Don't worry, bro. I'll just bite my arm.
Nah, it's
Yeah, there
okay.
you go.
It's okay. He went to Disneyland instead.
Yeah.
I did. That was a fun trip.
There you go. Hey, Disney's fun. That's another thing I think I get memed on is the Disney. So like my girlfriend, her family takes us to Disney every year. So like everybody's like, when I say like I'm going on vacation, they're like, oh, where you going, Disney? And like I'm like, yeah. Like,
Where else would I go?
Yeah, literally. So yeah, it's funny.
So you're telling me you're not one of those families who has like 5 passes and they go like once a month and you just rent a plane down there? Crazy.
Yeah,
Just
no,
rent a
there
plane
you go.
down there.
No, we're not there yet. That's when we start making that Roblox money.
Oh, that's I was about to say once the Roblox gets going, there's the jets now. He just got himself his private jet.
That's the goal.
The jokes that are gonna come out once you guys expand to Fortnite and Roblox are gonna be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited about that. Like, it's one of those things where I cannot wait for that. Again, I think it's going to be a true testament to like a lot of things that we can achieve. But we'll see how it goes.
That and you on the Roblox, bro. You gotta drop vehicles, and you just had to have one be called Income's Lambo, and only you're allowed to touch it.
That would be nice.
But I guess since we're already coming up to like that one, getting close to an hour 30. Does anybody else have any other questions for Income? Because I know he is a busy man.
I am good. I think we got a lot of good, like, positive and clear and actually very, like, open questions answered, which I appreciate a lot. So thank you very much, Income, for finally the time. Okay, I will say one thing. The one thing I have to admit, though, is you are terrible at keeping time for our schedule.
I mean, it is on income time, you know, so.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, again, I'll just say this to kind of end it all off is, you know, I appreciate you guys. I really do. And I'm doing, it's like, I'm 22. So like, I've been with my girlfriend for about like 9 years. So like,
Holy shit.
her family does a lot. So like, if they're like, oh, you want to go bowling for the kid's birthday? It's like, oh yeah, I'll go. But then it's like, oh, I forgot to have this, or I forgot to do this. So it's like, I try not to, like, my schedule is really all up in the air all the time. So, and I appreciate you guys being super flexible. It's not that I didn't want to do it, it's just trying to find the time. So I'm glad we got to sit down and have the conversation. And I'm excited for 2024, and I'm excited for what's to come. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
And then before you take off, is there any shout outs you want to do? Any like little secret reveals you want to give us?
No, because I'm going to get in trouble if I
Matt and John are going to beat me.
Like, I'm not. I will say that it's going to be an exciting year, and if you think that, you know, we're content with the 3 game modes we have, we're not. That's all I will say.
Cool.
Game mode, got it.
Well, he kind of teased that earlier.
So, all right, guys. Well, listen, I got to head out. So I appreciate you guys' time. I had a great time, and hopefully to talk with you guys soon.
Thank you
For
very
sure,
much.
man. Have a good one. We appreciate having you.
Yep. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was very successful. Does anybody else have? Should we keep the stream going a little bit, or do you guys want to have any closing statements?
No, I think
I'm good.
overall. So for those that are wondering, Income has just left our group chat, so it's just us now. Overall, I think he had good answers, and I think like he was nothing but polite. He also, I think, was clear, which I think is something that some people will try to like bend the truth a little bit. But he's clear. He's like, no, like we have to treat this as a business. And while people might misunderstand that, it actually, you want him to think of everything that's going on as a business, because otherwise it's like, if people just do things willy-nilly, well, they can also willy-nilly not care about things and just walk away from it. So there's a lot of that seriousness that was really good. Well spoken. He's definitely a business person. For those that didn't know what ROI,
You are trained as fuck.
yeah. For those that don't know what ROI stands for, it's return on investment.
Yeah, no, Matt shouldn't have gotten to his head. You know, he should have just spoke freely.
Now we got to bring Matt in here because I feel like Matt would be a little unhinged if we can get him.
Or John.
Yeah, I was
Both of
about
those
to
are
say.
little-
I think we're
John
talking
will
about
let shit fly by accident. To cut so much out.
uncensored.
All right.
Is going to be
We'll have to get 2.5 hours of footage for 1 hour.
Basically. All right. But it seems like we're going to wrap up this episode. I appreciate everybody for watching. I appreciate, Wingless. I appreciate Mando for always being here to co-host it with me. It does make it a lot easier on my end. Again, he's gone already, but, thank you to Income for, finally able to squeeze us into his schedule for this nice little interview. But I feel like we're not going to have to cut anything out for the most part. So I feel like it was a success.
yeah, I mean, I'll clean up a few things, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody want to say their goodbyes before I end the recording?
No,
Okay.
goodbye.
All right, bye.
Bye.
This is the way.
There you go. Cut it.